Welcome to Sports Talk.
Hello and welcome. This is Nick from Top Notch Sports. Today we're going to go over the 2023 Chicago Bears salary review and off-season moves for 2023. Justin Fields, Matt Eberflus went 3-14 this season in the 2022 NFL regular season. Did not make the playoffs, but what they did do, they secured the number one overall pick, and they also secured the number one overall most amount of cap space in this upcoming offseason. That is something crazy to think about. They have over $120 million to spend. And in this video, we're going to be going over a little bit of a mock offseason, a mock draft, mock offseason, mock free agency for all you fans. Now, the things that we do in this video, you might not necessarily agree with, and we're open to discussion in the comment sections. So let us know what you think. But this video is for entertainment purposes, and we're going to try to build a team around Justin Fields. And again, if you're new to this series, welcome. If you're not new to this series, well then, hey, welcome back. Listen, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into this thing. 3-14 Chicago Bears. Can we get to the playoffs next season? Let's do an entire off-season video. Here we go. So first things first, you got players in green and players in red. And if you're new to this series, again, you won't necessarily know what this means. So this is our expected starter slide. This is the people that are currently under contract with the organization. The guys that aren't listed here, like you might say, where's David Montgomery? Well, the reason why he's not listed here is because he's currently not under contract. He's a current free agent. He'll be on the next slide under notable losses. So the guys in green, if you cut them, you save money. The guys in red, if you cut them, you'll lose money. Quick example, Cody Whitehair, if you cut him, you save $5.8 million. If you cut Jaquan Briscoe, which you'll never do, you'll lose $1.3 million. And again, you got $120.7 million in cap space available. So here is what I'm going to tell you. Usually when you see a guy like that has $7.5 million he cut in your CA, you might consider it. $5.8 million, they didn't really play well. Maybe you cut them. $4.0 million, you cut them. You haven't played that well. You know, you might do it. But when you have $120.7 million, the most amount of money I think we ever did in this series, you don't really just want to be cutting a bunch of players. The reason why is because why cut them? You know, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, you know, even if these guys aren't starters, which they probably will be, some of them might be, but even if they aren't starters, especially Lucas Patrick, they can probably be good depth pieces. That doesn't necessarily mean they won't cut them, but when you got $120.7 million, you can sign 10 people. You can sign 5 people. You got a lot of money to, use. So you're not going to cut 10 guys in this video. Why? Because you got the money to sign them without cutting people. So again, the Bears are in great cap space. They have a lot of money to spend this offseason to build around Justin Fields. So let's go to the next slide. Let me know what you guys would do. Let me know who you cut, who you would save. But again, on the next 2 slides from now, you'll see what moves I do. But right now, we're going to go to our notable losses. Here are our notable losses. Now, this slide shows you the guys that are currently not under contract. So here we go again. Let's start with the first guy, David Montgomery, running back, 3 years, $29.3 million is expected contract. He plays 66% of the snaps. And the percent of snaps played is the amount of snaps they played when they were actively on the roster, meaning active for the game. So he plays 66% of the snaps when he was active. Okay, next guy, Nicholas Morrow, linebacker, 2 years, $7.7 million expected contract, played 100% of the snaps again when he was active. Equinemius St. Brown, wide receiver, expected contract, a $1.6 million deal, plays 60% of the snaps played when he was active. Now, again, a good rule of thumb here is when you play a high percentage of the snaps and you play well, you usually want to be brought back to the organization, especially when the regime stays the same. So let's go to our next slide. Here are our potential targets. Again, you got $120.7 million. We're estimating no cuts. Now, I'm sure they're going to make cuts. The thing is, we're not going to cut 10 players because it doesn't make sense because you got $120.7 million. And as you can see, we do make a lot of moves with the $120 million that you have. First things first, we're going to re-sign Nicholas Morrow to a 2-year, $7.8 million. That's a $3.9 million cap hit. Next guy, we're going to sign Equinemius St. Brown. We thought, again, he was signed for a $1.6 million contract. In real life, he signed for a $1.3 million contract. So we slightly overestimated. This already happened. They re-signed him $1.3 million, $1.3 million cap hit for Equinemius St. Brown. We got them signing Orlando Brown to protect Justin Fields' blind side. 5-year, $112.1 million, $22.4 million cap hit. Signing James Bradbury, 3-year, $51.3 million, $17.1 million cap hit. Signing a wide receiver, Alan Lazard, 3 years, $33.1 million, $11 million in cap hit. Signing Draymond Jones, 3 years, $21.8 million, $7.2 million cap hit. Signing Marcus Davenport, 4 years, $93 million, $23.2 million cap hit. Signing Poona Ford, 2 years, $27.8 million, $9.2 million cap hit. And signing David Long, 2 years, $9.8 million, $4.9 million cap hit, which comes out to a total of $100.2 million total cost, which leaves you with $20.5 million in estimated remaining cap space. Now, again, you still got $20 million, but again, for the sake of this video and sake of the series, a lot of players are signing elsewhere. So again, we got this money rolling over to next year, which means that you got more money to sign players next year, et cetera, et cetera. So now you look at your team needs. And I know this whole thing might look a little intimidating, but it's not. Just follow along with me. Bear with me. Your team needed a running back, needed receivers, needs center, needs an offensive guard, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, edge, linebacker, and cornerback. This doesn't necessarily mean that you need all these positions. This just means that you might need depth or some starters for that matter. So here we go. What do we do with signing? Well, we re-signed Equinemius St. Brown at the wide receiver position. We also re-signed linebacker Nicholas Morrow to fill in that need. What do we do signing-wise? Well, we signed Alan Lazard. We also went out and we signed Orlando Brown to fill in that left tackle position. Now, again, I know you guys got a lot of young offensive tackles already. But again, when you can bring in someone like Orlando Brown to protect Justin Fields' blind side, and you got the cap space to do it, and there's a good chance that Orlando Brown wants the money, yeah, you do it. Defensive tackle, we signed Draymond Jones, only 26 years old, 27 years old. Poona Ford, we brought in too. Edge rusher Marcus Davenport, again, another nice young guy, bringing him in. And linebacker David Long from the Tennessee. And last but not least, all-star cornerback James Bradbury. And look, when you make these moves here, listen to, your GM. Listen to Matt Eberflus. They want to do a lot through the draft, and that's what you're going to see down here. The whole thing is this. We, through the offseason, wanted to mock up a realistic offseason for the Bears. And they want young pieces. Now, everyone that we signed is pretty dang young. Besides James Bradbury is a little bit older. He's around 30-something, I believe. 30, 31 maybe at the oldest. And Poona Ford, I believe, is also in his 30s, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone else, I believe, that we signed is in their 20s. I mean, again, Davenport's around 26, 27. Draymond Jones around 26, 27. I believe Orlando Brown's around the same exact age. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm almost accurate with all these. Now, the draft. You guys got the first overall pick. I don't believe you guys are going to spend it on a player, because why would you just not trade down, especially with a team? And our mock trade that we got is trading down one spot with the Houston Texans and having the Texans trade you Brandon Cooks to give Fields another receiver. You get the second overall pick, a 2023 third rounder, and a 2024 third rounder. So what does that mean? You get 2 third rounders, you get the second overall pick, and you get a wide receiver in Brandon Cooks. I take that deal every day of the week if you're the Bears. And maybe you trade down again, but we don't got you doing that. So what do we got you guys doing with the second overall pick? We got you taking the best defensive player in this draft in defensive tackle, Jalen Carter. With that being stated, in the second round, we got you taking John Michael Schmitz, a center. Also, running back Devin Kane to fill in for David Montgomery's absence. In the third round, we get you bringing back, and now this is what you're trading for. You traded for this pick, the Texans too, in the trade. You're bringing in offensive guard Steve Avila and third round pick cornerback Caillou Blue Kelly. Now, again, what does that do for your needs? Well, let's go all the way back up to the top. You're bringing in that replacement for David Montgomery. Not replacement, maybe he splits the workload with Khalil Herbert. I love Khalil Herbert. I think he looked really good. I think he'll continue to do good for this team. But you bring in Devin Kane to back up or split the workload with, Khalil Herbert. Next, you're drafting, again, that center position. You need to fill them in while you're bringing in John Michael Schmitz. Remember, you're also trading for Brandon Cooks, which is going to fill in that need at wide receiver. And then you're going to keep going down here. You're going to draft Jalen Carter, the second overall pick. Phenomenal move to fill in that defensive tackle position / defensive end position. Then you keep going down a little bit. Edge rusher. You're going to sign Marcus Davenport, a nice young up-and-coming edge rusher for the New Orleans Saints for the last few years. Then you're going to also, last but not least, you're going to draft Caillou Blue Kelly at the cornerback position to fill in those needs. So now, the next slide, we're going to look at your expected starters for the 2023 season, and we're going to talk about what I feel like is possible for the Chicago Bears team in 2023. Here we are. Here you got a lot of colors. First things first, if you see yellow, which you don't, that would be your placeholders. We feel like with this offseason and having $20.5 million, you don't really have a placeholder. Every single part of this lineup is pretty dang good, to be quite honest with you. I'm going to be quite honest. This team looks pretty solid from the top to bottom if you decide to make these moves. The guys in orange, Nicholas Morrow, that's somebody that you re-sign. You re-sign the guys in orange. So you're bringing in Nicholas Morrow. The guys in green are guys that you're signing in free agency. Orlando Brown to lock up that left tackle position. Justin Fields' blind side. Wide receiver Alan Lazard to give Fields an extra weapon. Marcus Davenport, a 26, 27-year-old edge rusher. Phenomenal player to come off that edge. Poona Ford, a veteran defensive tackle. Draymond Jones, a nice young defensive tackle as well. Jalen Carter, another guy. Defensive tackle, defensive end, mainly defensive tackle. You can bring in an edge rusher on the outside here to help him out. You're bringing him in by a rookie. But let's go back to your signings. David Long from Tennessee, a nice interior linebacker. And last but not least, James Bradbury, you're signing him. On top of all that, you're trading for Brandon Cooks by trading down one spot to give Justin Fields another weapon. Between Brandon Cooks, a guy that usually gets 1,000 yards almost every single season, Cole Kmet, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, and Alan Lazard, there's no excuses for Justin Fields not to have weapons. Does he have an all-star like Devontae Adams or DeAndre Hopkins or a Cooper Kupp? No. But these are high-quality receivers, and I think Justin Fields can do very good with these guys. And last but not least, the guys that you're drafting. John Michael Schmitz to lock up that center position for years to come with Justin Fields. Steve Avila to possibly fill in the offensive guard position when Cody Whitehair walks away. Devin and Kane coming in to be a split back with Khalil Herbert with Justin Fields as well. This is getting him a lot of targets, ladies and gentlemen. You're bringing Kai Blue Kelly in the third round to, add a fourth cornerback between Kyler Gordon, Caillou Blue Kelly, Jalen Johnson, and James Bradbury. You can never, ever have enough secondary players. Then on top of that, like I said before, you bring in Jalen Carter, another defensive tackle. With this pass rush, a whole new defensive line, with these solid linebackers, with a really good secondary room between Jaquan Brisker, a rookie from last year, Eddie Jackson, a solidified stud safety, Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, James Bradbury, an all-star, and Caillou Blue Kelly, a nice up-and-coming cornerback that you guys can draft this year. A revamped offensive line, another good running back they're replacing. These guys might not be as good as David Montgomery, but why are you going to spend $9 to $10 million on David Montgomery? You could. I just wouldn't do it. You also bring back Alan Lazard. You bring in Alan Lazard, Brandon Cooks, Claypool, and you got Darnell Mooney for Justin Fields to work with. I think this team goes from a 3-14 team to a team that's contending in the NFC North. What do I mean by contending? Do I think you guys make the playoffs? Probably not. And that's just me being honest. But I think you're contending with Detroit. I feel like you're contending with Green Bay. And I feel like you might even steal a game from Minnesota next year if you make these moves. You make these moves, Justin Fields has a solid base around him. You still got money for next year. You're not going bankrupt. And no, we're not signing a bunch of 35-year-old veterans for one-year contracts. We're bringing in guys that are nice young players that can be a part of the core of this team. Marcus Davenport, Orlando Brown, Alan Lazard might be more of a 1 to 2 year piece. Brandon Cooks might be a 1 to 2 year piece. But these guys are building a foundation for the Chicago Bears team to compete with quarterback Justin Fields, and you're giving them pieces to succeed. With that being stated, I feel like you guys can win 7 to 8 games next season, compete for the NFC North. You learn how to compete this year, learn how to win this year, and then hopefully in 2024, you're looking to make a playoff push with your future superstar quarterback, Justin Fields. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Again, blocking these guys up, I think, would be huge. This video is for entertainment purposes. I think it's a phenomenal series. You can go back, watch our video from last year, and just see how much better this mock-up is than last year's because the money that you have and the draft capital that you have. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. We'll see you guys soon. Let us know if you have any insight, takeaways. Again, we're not Chicago Bears teams. We're not experts on the Bears. You guys watch them every Sunday, the Bears. And I don't want to act like I know everything, so please let us know where we went wrong and where you think we can improve. This series takes hours upon hours. I want to thank Greg and Little Dom this year for really helping me out. Those are the two main guys that helped me out this year. I appreciate both of them. And again, to all you fans, hopefully you enjoy. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe for all the work we put in and all the work we're going to be putting in to the draft again and to many mock drafts coming in the future. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. Chicago Bears fans, I wish you the best of luck. We are built better.